So for women, we have to understand that we live in cognitive dissonance, meaning that in spite of the reality that we see of relationships and couples and our own experiences of relationships and marriage, we see it's right in front of us all the time that our fantasy of romantic love doesn't exist and it fades away and it's a temporary feeling. We know that. And we know the reality of how much couples struggle and how unhappy couples are and how unhappy marriages are and the divorce rate that we have in our country and around the world. It's very clear. The evidence is right there in front of our face that the romantic love does not exist. But the cognitive dissonance is that we believe and continue to want to believe in spite of the evidence presented to us when we just look at the reality of life, the reality of relationships, is we want to keep alive the fantasy that romantic love does exist. And we want to keep alive the fantasy and illusion that our husbands are supposed to provide and maintain those feelings of romantic love. And we live in this fantasy that that's what it's supposed to be, which then that's where we become victims in our marriage. And I'm talking about victim mentality. We become victims in our marriage and blame our husbands that they're not providing those feelings of romantic love. And then that's where we get bored. We feel disappointed. We are let down and we are unhappy. And we believe that our husband is the source of feeling let down, of being unhappy, of being disappointed, of being bored. And then we feel entitled and justified to leave the marriage, to go outside of the marriage, to look for some other relationship, some other man that we think will make us feel the energy of new love and romantic love, of the passion and the excitement and the bliss and the butterflies. And that's where we will leave our marriages and leave our husbands. And oftentimes we have met someone else, and whether we're having a full-on affair or having an emotional affair, we've met someone else that has stirred all those false feelings of love up again, and we believe that it's real. And we will divorce and we will leave thinking we finally found it. And then we're disillusioned again, because as soon as those feelings fade away, we're right back where we started, feeling that emptiness in us, feeling that void. And so, good men, it's not you. You're not the problem for why your wife has left or why your wife wants a divorce or why she's had an emotional affair or a physical affair. You're not the problem in that. It is her own void and emptiness and how she feels about herself and believing in this fantasy of love that there's some man who can maintain those romantic feelings to make her feel loved. And we have to see this. This is the red pill. This is why I call my channel the Red Pill for Women. This is the truth and reality that we need to see if we ever hope to change. I saw a comment in the chat. It didn't pop up when I went live, but I saw a comment in the chat from someone that said a woman maturing and taking responsibility is not possible. And to the most part, he's correct. But I believe the reason for that is we haven't had a path that actually works for us to mature, to take responsibility. Again, I feel very, very blessed in myself to have found that path and my beliefs. I believe God put that on my path for me to learn so that I can bring this out to other men and women. But women, we have to see these things so that we can understand how we are living in this cognitive dissonance of the fantasy of love. And like I said in the thumbnail of the video, it's time to grow up and stop the fairy tale. If you ever hope to be happy, if you ever hope to have a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship with a man and hopefully your husband, you have to grow up and stop the fairy tale. For me, it was a huge relief and an incredible freedom to understand that what I always dreamed of as a woman and before as a little girl, of this idea of romantic love, realizing that it was a fantasy and it was actually based on the absence of love in myself, was a huge freedom to break away from that paradigm for myself, it saved my marriage. It saved me. So we have to see the truth of this and understand that there is no man that can ever exist that will make you feel the way that romantic love feels in the beginning. There is no man out there that will ever be able to make you feel that and sustain it forever. It's impossible. So we have to wake up and recognize that. So the solution is, again, we have to find that love in ourselves. And for women, I teach in my course that we find that love within ourselves. It's the journey of being happy, which I define as having a healthy relationship with ourselves. It is learning to take accountability and responsibility for ourselves. It's the process of building integrity in who we are and holding ourselves to a standard of having high character. And that's the process that I teach. And it's learning to develop high emotional intelligence to be in control of our emotional state. And through that process, we feel good about who we are. We take accountability and we have a healthy relationship with ourselves. That's what it looks like to love ourselves. It's not going to get a massage. It's not going to get your nails done. It's not taking a break and resting and doing nothing. That's not loving yourself. Loving yourself, again, is doing the harder things in life to show you that you matter.